On this episode of ResiWeek, Mark Corbin becomes the president of Vanco, Teal's service department becomes Coherent Source Services, and Valet's first show home is installed. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek episode 107, President's Day Special.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Crestron and by Draper.
Welcome to ResiWeek. This is your weekly wrap-up of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. And today I'm pleased to be joined by Mark Corbin, who used to be the VP of distribution markets for Vanco, but you have a new title, sir. How are you?
Very good. Very good. Thanks for having me.
And what's your new title?
It is President. Thank you.
Dang.
Oh my God.
He just so smooth and mellow about that. He's like, don't make
Another
a big deal. And another one. The person you hear talking is Ted Green. He is the editor of strategy.com. How are you, sir?
Matt, I'm great. It's always great to be here with our resident president and our dear director.
The person he's talking about is not me, but Joe Whitaker. He is the president owner of The Thoughtful Home. How are you, sir?
Good as always. Glad to be back.
Living the dream, buddy?
Living the dream.
Excellent. All right, gentlemen, let's jump right into the story that we alluded to, and this comes to us from Residential Systems. Mark Corbin, who is with us today, is the new president, and there's a bunch of restructure on the executive team. This is obviously a big deal for Mark and a big deal for the company. So, Mark, I'm going to come directly to you on that one. What does this change for you in a day-to-day basis as far as what you have been dealing with and what you're going to be doing going forward since this promotion has happened?
Sure. Mainly my new job is to basically put us in a position of where our company is going to focus going down the road as far as products go, different categories, maybe possibly new markets that we look into. Relieving me of some of the sales duties. In the article was mentioned Dennis O'Connor is going to be our new GM, which he helps run our day-to-day operations. And then Aaron Rosansky is going to actually step up and start helping more on the sales side of things, which I was running at the time. I'm really excited about that. He's proven really, really good sales and leader. So my job now is really going to get to focus on where is our company going to go, where should we put our money and investments into, and what products can we make that will put us into new categories and hopefully new distributors at the same time.
Very good. Joe, when we see and hear this kind of news, and not specific to Vanco exactly, but just across the board, when people get promoted from within and changes happen to management structure, as a dealer, do you ever see that? Does that ever affect you other than obviously, when you have a relationship with those companies, your friends get promoted and things such as that, but as a day-to-day integration side of it, are there any changes that you guys ever see or get excited about?
Yes. And it's funny you say that because I just took a picture with my phone of the screen and sent this guy's dad a text message saying how proud and congratulations, because, that leads into, yes, how it can affect us on the bottom line. So we've seen over the last 5 years some hands change at many companies with presidents, CEOs, et cetera. And that usually comes with, beside a slight changing of guard, is you sometimes can get a strategic vision change, which is typically what a president brings to the table. He's stepping away from some of the sales and some of the standardized operation, and he's doing exactly what he just said. He's now looking into markets, where else they should be, what else they should do. Sometimes this can be very good, and I 100%, I expect that from these guys in Vanco. But sometimes things can be brought in that could be detrimental to a business, or there could be a change that happens that could shut a business down. I mean, we've seen it happen before. With Vanco, I know it's not the case, personally, because I've worked a lot with Mark over the last 5 years on products and categories and all kind of stuff. So I have full faith in this happening. However, yes, it can affect integrators, because I'm willing to bet we'll see, I'm just guessing here, Mark, within the next year, we'll probably see some pricing changes, some distribution strategy moves. These are things that I already know in my head Mark is probably looking at, and they are going to affect people, but most likely in a very positive way, which is, I mean, it gets all uphill from here.
Very good. All right, gentlemen, let's move to our next story. And of course, congrats, Mark. That is fantastic news.
Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It's all about you, my friend, today. This comes to us from Ted's publication, strategy.com. King Teal is dead, and long live coherent source service. If you were unaware of this, I believe this happened, and Ted, you can correct me, but I believe this happened back in January, the middle of January, that Teal kind of officially finally closed its doors. But what's fun about this is that, and you can read through this whole article to get a whole bunch of backing on that, but essentially, as they've kind of closed down, Rod Gilliam has purchased their service department and is going to be continuing to service and take care of this, kind of, I don't even know what term to use, but this long, very beloved speaker brand. Ted, give us a little bit of overview on how this came to be and why somebody like Rob would come in and not only take it over and take over the service side of things, but more importantly, without having purchased the warranty side of it, being willing to honor warranties on a system that he has not purchased, which as a business owner, I find that absolutely ridiculous.
It is absolutely mind-boggling. So, I mean, this is a company with a storied history. Started back in 1976. There were three initial founders: Jim Teal, who is the chief engineer, his little brother Tom Teal, and a college friend, Kathy Gornick. They had a great run. Jim Teal was a very dynamic business owner, and he had a very strong philosophy for product design. They had a very unique niche in the market. They were above the mainstream products, but they were below the ultimate high-end products.
Right.
And so they weren't inexpensive, but they weren't super expensive. And they strove to give you that high-end performance at a more affordable price. This is a story that I have followed loosely for years, but starting in 2012, Kathy Gornick, one of the co-founders, sold the company to a group of Tennessee private equity investors, and that's when things got very interesting for me. It was a long downward slide. It's been a long slog for the last 5 years, and finally, you're right, at the end of January, although there was no formal or official announcement, they did close the doors. What the article is announcing is the formation of Coherent Source Service, which is Rob Gilliam, as you noted. Rob Gilliam joined Teal in 1981, and he has led the service department for decades. A lot of the customers know him. These kinds of speakers are a little bit like British sports cars. They take a lot of love and care. They perform great, but they need a little TLC. And that interface with the consumer largely came from Rob Gilliam. So he's actually a very beloved employee at Teal. It was very exciting for me to learn that he had purchased the service department, although not the intellectual property. So he's not calling it Teal Service, but he's purchased the service department. And out of his sense of personal commitment to that customer base, and literally out of the goodness of his heart, he has agreed to cover warranty and non-warranty repair and support for any Teal owners, owners of the legacy product.
Yeah, just legacy, correct?
Yeah, not the latest series they came out with, but the legacy series products. And it's pretty amazing. He didn't have to do it. It's going to cost him a lot of money to do that. But it shows you his commitment to that customer base. It's why they love him. I have been perusing the audio blogs, and let me tell you, they sing the praises of Rob Gillum, and rightly so, because he does really, crazy stuff like this. His accountant's probably, smacking his head against the wall, but, that's why Rob is so popular. So it's a great story.
Very good. Joe, when we look at something like this, it brings to mind a couple of things for me. One, that this is that high-end audio that seems to be continuing to diminish with clients, with end users, especially younger end users. But two, just I don't want to say a different time, but almost a different time where people were able to take the time to sit down and actually focus on listening to music. When you see stuff like this and you see a company such as this close down, what does that mean to you as an integrator and a lover of things like this?
Well, we don't know, it's not very public, the actual causation of the shutdown, whether it had been speakers weren't selling as good or what it may be. But we know there's been an uptick in high-res audio. We know that. The statistics are there. And Ted, I really appreciate this article because, and especially the way you put it, because it brings to mind some other manufacturers where we've seen HydroConnect, the video switch company. When they shut down, they created a method to service, warranty, and upkeep these systems, which I consider a brilliant idea. But the but is, I believe that in this case, because it was a great brand with, kind of love and affection inside of a speaker, if you can imagine such a thing, could create a rebirth of that specific technology into our industry. May not have the same company name, but because, Rob has taken this on, which I have some of their speakers, so I know that could have a rebirth of the speaker. It really could. I believe this was a great move because those who use Teal are loyal. Mm-hmm. They are loyal.
That's true.
And it is a very good brand, great quality, and I'm glad somebody did this. And I think he's going to make some money, I guess.
Very good. Mark, as a manufacturer, when you see these stories and hear about, just what Joe said about how users love these speakers, users love this company, and it doesn't necessarily matter who we're talking about, whether it be Teal, whether it be any other high-end company like that. What is involved in creating a product that generates so much love and admiration from clients?
Well, it takes a lot of work just from a design standpoint. I mean, I'm sure obviously Teal has a very specific design that they're proud of. And when you've spent money in marketing and development and R&D and engineering, it becomes your baby. And I mean, it becomes almost your passion more than just your job. So at that point, you're turning your passion into a job and you're creating something that you think is amazing. And it's difficult to continue that down the road, I think, over years and years. And that's why marketing and having a following is so important in the speaker industry. And they obviously did. I think it's very interesting, the choice that's going to happen now with, I assume he's basically going to be refurbishing a lot of these speakers, correct? And
yes.
I think that's really unique, and I don't know of a ton of companies that this has happened with. So I would love to see how that goes within 6 months and see what's going on, because it's a really unique story. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, Matt, if I can jump in real quick.
Yeah, please do.
There were actually two things that two elements to the story that my article broke. One was that Rob Gillum had purchased the service department and it was launching as Coherent Source service. And the second is that he is developing a series of upgrade kits.
Yeah, I saw that.
Upgraded components. Yeah. And I've got to tell you, when I reported that, the audio blogs just got set on fire. They're so excited about this. The idea that you can go back to a speaker that's, like Joe was saying, 10, 15 years old, but 15, 20 years old, and actually turbocharge its performance with this upgrade kit has got everybody. It's a very exciting development.
Yeah, and that's where that passion and all that, he's bringing it right back into it, because he's giving people the ability to continue that passion through upgrades. That's a great point. I saw that at the bottom of the article too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, gentlemen, let's keep moving along and move to an article that comes to us from Residential Systems about our good buddy Joe. It's like we have an article for everyone today.
Hey, you know what? I don't think that's ever happened before.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it has. Yeah.
Not at all. All right. So Joe Whitaker provides valet voice control concept in a Dallas model home. Realtors were impressed with a technology that embeds Amazon Echo dots into in-ceiling speaker brackets for an invisible multi-room audio control. Now, Joe, this is something that you and I have talked about a couple of times. We've done videos on this. This is centered around the Origin Acoustics Valet system, correct?
Correct.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially what you guys have been able to do through the Thoughtful Home and your Jay Whitaker's design is to work with this custom home builder, create a model home where you're utilizing the Alexa Echo Dots and the Valet to essentially do a walking virtual tour, doing a walking headset tour throughout the home and highlighting all these different features, but using obviously Alexa and using your voice to achieve that. Tell us a little bit more about, one, how you came up with this concept, and B, how you implemented it.
So, the original concept of the realtor walkthrough, so to speak, which some realtors were shaking in their boots about a little job security issue, but some of them saw it as a process to actually be able to solidify more sales, which I thought was interesting. The original concept behind this was popped up by my business partner in the Thoughtful Home, Steve Sigel, over a couple of drinks, just kind of bouncing around concepts. And he said, well, couldn't we do this? And on the technology side, I said, well, yeah, we can do that. And think even bigger about it. And the builder that we do a lot of homes down there with, we pitched it to him and he was all over it. And then it just blossomed into what it is today. And the fact that the realtors also saw future homeowners and clients walking around, and the interaction with the valet was selling them on having more technology in their home. So they saw this whole change of a thought process happen. So that was kind of where the idea came from.
So when you're looking at this, and you said that it's helping potential clients who are walking through get excited not only about the technology, but actually wanting the technology. Because if you've ever gone through an open house or a model home, most of the time you walk through the home, they'll tell you there's some ceiling speakers in the ceiling and they're connected to something you can plug your phone into. And the realtors as a rule really gloss over that. But give us an example of how the one that comes to mind is the countertop one. Give us an example of how that kind of worked and how that made sense to clients.
So there's images in that article that everyone can take a look at that kind of shows the floor plan, but the main area was a really open floor plan, and there was a dot in the kitchen with some speakers, and you could go into basically the island and say, tell me about the kitchen. And it would start talking about the countertops. The rest of the lights in the room would dim. It only light up the countertop. The same thing with the stove. Then it would tell you about the open dining and living room. The same type of thing. It would tell you about the TV. The TV would come on. It would tell you about the pool outside with the huge door, and pool pumps would come on. So it virtually walked you through it without having to press any buttons to turn on any of the things.
Right.
You were actually seeing how it was working. So it was showing you how you're going to, when you're cooking dinner, you're going to listen to some music and you're going to dim the lights. You're going to do all these cool things. So it was allowing them to live in the home without some scary realtor breathing down their neck about buy a home. Mm-hmm. They were able to sit there, comfortably by themselves with their spouse and with their family and kind of experience the environment in that particular room, which that was kind of a big selling point.
Very good. Ted, when you look at this, and you've obviously covered housing starts and a lot in the building realm. We do see a lot of it. We also see a lot of companies, and I'm blanking on the name of the big builder out east, who is now no longer wanting to put wires in the walls for anything. Lennar, thank you. All I could think was Lonix, and that's a totally different company.
Yes, indeed.
When we hear about somebody like Lennar who only wants Wi-Fi in their homes, and then we look at this, where this is the exact opposite of doing a massive amount of integration, but something that's simple that clients can utilize and understand. What is this from a potential mean for upcoming, not necessarily new home builds, but clients that are looking at building? What does this open opportunities for them?
Well, builders are being really kind of opportunistic. They're hearing all the buzz about smart homes, so they want to play in that pool. And, what is the ramification of that going to be as more and more homes are built and they're sold with basic smart home capabilities built in? Is that going to be a positive for our industry or a negative? Matt, we've talked about this before. I have two theories about the future. I don't know which way it's going to go. I know which way I want it to go. There's at least a little risk that they're going to take some money off the table. People will be satisfied with that basic system and go for it. Of course, what most of us in the industry hope for is that it whets the appetite for a real, serious home automation solution where you got to bring in a professional like Joe Whitaker or yourself to really do a needs assessment and create a customized package for them. We hope that's where it ends up going, but it all kind of remains to be seen. It's a little bit the Wild West right now in the whole smart home automation world.
Very good. Mark, I'll give you the last word on this one. When we look at this, obviously we get excited because it shows a ton of potential for where voice control can go. What's important for dealers when they're looking at this type of technology and this type of application, as far as obviously everybody always wants to go big and do the biggest, most, all-encompassing system possible. But what's the best kind of approach for dealers to go to either homeowners or builders and look at this type of application?
Well, I think it's ease, right? I mean, everything starts with the ease. I mean, I think we talked about this before, even in other things. What's the ease, and how do you adapt to the ease for your customer? And I mean, voice control makes everything so easy. I think it's the way everything's going to go. It's a natural progression, and I'm sure some of us don't want it to go that way, but I don't think we have an option. I mean, I'll be honest, from a manufacturing standpoint, everything I'm doing has something integrated since September of last year on. It's got to be integrated with Alexa and Google Home and Siri, and it's just a natural progression. So I think with dealers, the way to approach it is make it simple, lay it out for them, make it the easiest way. What's so unique with Joe's article is this is exactly what is the purpose of these products, is to make it easy for these consumers to use and enjoy. And I think the way, if you can lay it out, obviously not as extravagant as Joe's done, because this is really cool, but even just a small layout of how the system would work to your customer, I think it's an easy sell because everything is progressing this way.
Well, one of the good points you just brought up is for Matt, which it magically works, is when this idea came up, it wasn't just for the home builders or the realtors or the consumers. It was to give guys like me and Matt the ability to take something like an Alexa and actually make it sound better.
Yeah.
Right? Make the audio that comes from it actually sound better. I joked with Matt on another ResiWeek about, I'm an integrator and there's two things I enjoy a lot: speakers and beer. But I don't want to hear a speaker in a beer can, which is exactly what an echo is.
Right, and they know that, and they know it, right? So that's what's so unique within the engineering behind all their products. Even is they realize that, and I will tell you, even from a manufacturing standpoint, the platforms are just so easy to work with, and I'm sure you guys know that too.
Yep.
Even when you're developing products, it's just really easy to work around. So
very good. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this week. Mark, if people want to get in touch with you and most importantly, congratulate you on your new position, where can they do that?
You can please go to our website at www.vanco1.com. And you can visit all of our brands there, Vanco, Evolution, Pulse Audio, and Beal Street. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. We always enjoy it. Ted, thanks so much for joining us again. Where can people connect with you?
I'm all over the place. Facebook.com/Ted Green, Twitter.com/Ted Green. But the best place really is strategy.com, strata-gee.com.
Beautiful. Thanks again. Joe, as always, thanks for being here, bud. Where can people connect with you?
They can find me on any social platform with @ThoughtfulHome, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, even LinkedIn.
Google Plus.
Google. Actually, we do have one of those. Or you can always email me directly, Joe at thoughtfulhome.com. And if you want live views, video feeds, or actually see the model home for yourself, contact Steve at thoughtfulhome.com. He's the guy down there in Dallas, and he'll be able to take care of you.
I got to get down there and check that out.
Yes, we need to meet up and go down there.
I like it. All right. Thanks again for joining us, gentlemen. For myself, if you'd like to follow me, you can find me at Matt D. Scott on Twitter and every other social platform. But more importantly, please stop by AVNation.tv. You'll find this show as well as a wide variety of all of our shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the site, please take a moment to check out our underwriters. We are extremely thankful for their support and ask that you support them as well. Thanks again for watching. That's all the time we have for this episode of Resi Week.